All right, guys, welcome to week 3. This is like take 37 of this video, so hopefully we nail it this time and it's easy and it makes sense. This week, everything we talked about, it was all about inferences. So the skill that we're working on is inferencing. And then our approach that we used, the one that we started with this week, was the three column chart. And basically the concept is that when we are trying to make an inference, we have to use two pieces of information. The first piece is the information that we gather from a text. So if this is our book, then this is the information we gather from a text. This information we call evidence. And I said in class that we might also call it contextual information. There's many different ways to say this. It might be context clues, it might be a number of different things, but really what we're saying is this is the stuff that the author tells us. So if it is a movie, then it might be the stuff that the director tells us. If it is a piece of art, it might be the stuff that the artist tells us, but this is what we're given. So these are our knowns. We can say that the evidence from the text, the known that the author gives us, plus what we know in our brain, so this is my very rough brain sketch, is going to equal our inference. So the stuff that we know in our brain, we call this schema. And schema is really stuff we believe or already know. And then that is going to equal our inference. So contextual evidence plus our schema, the things that we already know, equals that bright idea, which an inference really is going to be whatever our best guess is. So an inference is our best guess. Times that we use this strategy, times that we will use the three-column approach in making inferences, is really when we're trying to analyze a character's actions. So why is the character doing the things that they're doing? And we're trying to analyze the character's feelings. Why does the character feel the way that they feel? What is their emotional state? When we're trying to analyze the difference between what the character says and what the character does. And then lastly, when we're asking those questions about the plot, questions about the setting, when we're asking questions about why certain events happen. As readers, we know that writers always have a plan for their story. So there's a reason why A leads to B, which leads to C. And so part of what great readers do is we look at how can we map that course. So why are these events that are happening in the story, why do they matter? Why are they important? When we start talking about how do we phrase these inferences, when we're making inferences, what does it look like? We are looking for our thinking stems. And our thinking stems are going to be things like my guesses, or I feel that, or I predict that, or even maybe. So these are just ways that we can think about it. If we were going to say, my guess is the man carrying an umbrella is probably going to be safe from the rain, then that would be my guess. It's a prediction. It's an inference that I can make because he's carrying an umbrella and because I have previous schema that says that people who carry umbrellas are usually protected from the rain. So that's just kind of a simple breakdown of what an inference is. The 3-column approach is slightly different because the 3-column approach, you're going to use this sheet of paper and you're going to fold it into thirds. So if you have your journal, this is where you would put this. I did not bring my journal home, so I just have a notebook piece of paper, but you fold it into the 3 columns. And then just like here, I have a column for each thing. So this is the information that comes from the text. This is the information that I already know, my schema, and then this is my inferences. So I'm going to pick it up in just a minute, and I'm going to show you an example of what that looks like in the text. All right, so now I am looking at my mentor text. This time I'm going to use Thank You Ma'am by Langston Hughes. I am just going to look at the first paragraph, maybe first 2, in order to try to gather some information and make a couple of inferences. In order to make this easier, I'm going to just make my 3-column chart and then keep my 3-column chart on the page, blocking the rest of the reading so that it's in this manageable little chunk. Just like we did with the stop and jot, I'm going to read the text first and then I'm going to go back. I'm going to pull out some information and I'm going to put it in my chart. So reading the text, it says, she was a large woman with a large purse that had everything in it but hammer and nails. It had a long strap and she carried it slung across her shoulder. It was about 11 o'clock at night and she was walking alone when a boy ran up behind her and tried to snatch her purse. The strap broke. With a single tug, the boy gave it from behind. But the boy's weight and the weight of the purse combined caused him to lose his balance. So instead of taking off full blast, as he had hoped, the boy fell on his back and on the sidewalk, and his legs flew up. The large woman simply turned around and kicked him right square in his blue-jeaned sitter. Then she reached down, picked the boy up by his shirt front, and shook him until his teeth rattled. Now, on here I can make a couple of inferences. The first one I want to make is this. It tells me that the boy's weight and the weight of the purse combined caused him to lose his balance. So instead of taking off full blast as he had hoped, the boy fell on his back on the sidewalk and his legs flew up. The large woman simply turned around and kicked him right square in his blue jean sitter. So I can say the evidence that we can pull is a large woman simply turned around and kicked him in his blue jean sitter. Now, in the text, since this is a copy and it's okay for me to mark on it, in the text, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight that section. The large woman simply turned around and kicked him in the square in his blue jean sitter, so that I know and I can easily find that back in the text. If you are using a printout, you can highlight as well. If you're doing it in a library book or something, this is another spot where you might want to use a sticky tab and stick it in there so that you know exactly where that came from. Regardless, you probably would have put the page number. Since I don't have a page number, maybe I would just put my paragraph. So paragraph 1. All right, now my schema tells me that people who are scared usually don't turn around and fight someone back. I know that people who are scared, there's really 3 things you can do. You can fight, you can flight, or you can freeze. And if I look at this, I would say that she definitely decided to fight. So my inference that I would make is that the woman is pretty brave. Woman is brave. That's an inference I can make. Now, can I guarantee that? No, maybe she's totally shaking inside and she's incredibly nervous. But my best guess is because instead of allowing him to get up and run off, she grabbed him and his blue jean sitter, that that her initial instinct is that she's going to be brave and that she's going to fight. So the woman is brave and is going to fight. So this is the first one that I was able to do. If I move on, after that, the woman said, "Pick up my pocketbook, boy, and give it here." She still held him, but she bent down enough to permit him to stoop and pick up her purse. Then she said, "Now ain't you ashamed of yourself?" Firmly gripped by his shirt front, the boy said, "Yes'm." The woman said, "What did you want to do it for?" The boy said, "I didn't aim to." She said, "You lie." By that time, 2 or 3 people passed, stopped, turned to look, and some stood watching. So if I was going to make another inference, this inference, there's a couple of ones I can make, but probably the one I want to make right now is right here. So 2 or 3 people passed to where it says watching. So this is my quote. And again, I can mark it because I'm doing it on a printout. My schema tells me that groups of people out late at night indicates a city. So at this point, we have the boy, we have the woman, we have 2 or 3 people. So we have at least a handful of people that are out. For some reason, this woman is walking at 11 o'clock at night on a street. So it seems like she's probably in the city. This doesn't seem to be a small town kind of thing. To me, I'm really feeling like there's quite a few people out there. So my evidence is there's 2 or 3 passed watching. It passed by. It's, honestly, it's the boy and the woman. So we have at least a few. My schema is that groups of people out late at night is probably a city. So my guess, my inference, my best guess is that the story takes place in a probably larger city because there's people out late at night and there's people walking down the streets. Now, this again might not be true. Maybe it's a small town and maybe there's an event going on that's causing this to happen. But as I read the story, I would look for things to either prove that my inference is right or prove that my inference is wrong. And that's what I'm looking for. So ideally, every couple of paragraphs, you would stop and you would make another inference and you would just keep going until you had a series of them that were really filling in the holes. The idea is that all of your inferences are that best guess. You're just wanting to get something out there that might really actually work. And then if it's wrong, it's wrong. But it's better to have a smart idea than have no idea. This is the end for the 3-column inference chart. I hope that it helps. And again, have a great weekend and a good evening. Goodbye.